So, a more thorough video on these mods I've made on my Hercules T7 and why I've done it. And the why is easy. That's because the backspin, when it comes out of the box, is pretty bad. It's like this. So that doesn't really work. And then I saw another video online that actually explained how to add these. And that was fairly simple, but I thought I'll just make my own one, so maybe more people see it. I'll link the original in the video description. And also I can maybe get a little bit more info here. Because what are these? Well, these are actually flange couplings. So if you look that up on eBay here, you can see you can get tons of them. And they cost next to nothing. So for instance, these ones. And what they are really is that they're just like something at the bottom that you're supposed to screw into something else for a coupling, but in this case we'll just glue it on. And then it's these little things on the sides where you can actually bolt it into the spindle. So that's all it does. So it costs nothing really. Maybe $1, maybe $2 each. So that's about it. So that's what I've been adding in for this. So that's what you see here. Of course, there was already something there to begin with. There's these at the top here. These things, these little springs that kept the vinyl on. But these come off really easy. Just use your fingers to do it so you don't damage it. And that means they can also go right back in if you want to go back to the previous way of doing it. And then also when you get it, apart from this thing that you see I've ended up with, you get a few of these screws, the black ones, to bolt in, and then you get this little key to bolt them in. So that's what's in the box. And of course you need two of them, one for each side, right? But then the thing is that when you get them, they're actually too small, because you're probably going to want to buy the 7mm. And the spindle is actually 7.1mm. So you basically have to drill them out. So you can do that in two ways. I tried a bit of both here. So this is a 7mm drill, and this is a 7.5mm drill, and it both worked. So I was using this to kind of grind it out, and I was using this to maybe just go through. And if you just had like some pliers like this, you can easily hold it and drill right through with a power drill. So that was not really a problem. Just don't do it right into your favorite table, right? So I just drilled that through, and both worked. It just gets a little bit of slip around, but then you just adjust for that when you bolt this into both sides here. So that's not a problem, really. So that's how I did it. It's fairly simple. So yes, now they're probably about 7.5mm, and they go right on and can be bolted on. But of course, that's only half the story, because they also need to get attached to the actual vinyl, right? So for that, some people have used double-sided tape. But I know that this is just an ordinary 7-inch vinyl. It doesn't even have to be anything on it, or it can just be a old control vinyl. It can be anything that's 7-inch. So I didn't really bother with that. So I simply super glued these onto the vinyl. So now they can never come off, but I don't care, because I can just get some new vinyls if I need it. So that's okay for me. And then this is basically the result. So it's been bolted in on both sides, and a little bit of give doesn't really matter when you bolt it in. Just make sure it's in the middle, right? And on this side right now, I still have the slip mat underneath. So that is now like this. So much better, and more than enough for you to be able to use it as a spin out. Like that. But then the other side is actually, it doesn't have a slip mat, and I adjusted a little bit higher in here when bolting it in. So that's now very, very free. So this can do stuff like this. So of course, an even more crazy spin back. So you may prefer that, but I think that gets a little wobbly then. It's too wobbly in the general control, so like this. That's just There's no resistance, no nothing. So I think I will do the compromise and then go back to this one where you don't get quite as long a spin back, but you get way more control for everything else except the spin back. So now I've changed it so they both have the slip nuts underneath, and they've basically just been adjusted and bolted in wherever they fell, so like with their own weight, wherever they were, and then I just bolt them in here, and then this is what it sounds like now. And the other one. And for comparison, this way of connecting the vinyl to the spindle also seems to be much more like it was on my old Numark NS7 here. So you can see I still have the give down here, but up here it's basically bolted together. So much more like my new T7 is after the mod. So that's basically all there is to it. And of course I'll link all the info in the video description where I got these things and what I used to drill them out, the sizes and everything, and also a couple of suggestions on what you can do with how much backspin you want, like I just explained. So all that will be in the video description. And this is not really scary, like I already said, because the only thing you are really changing are these vinyls, and any 7-inch vinyl will fit on there and work. So even if you break them somehow, you can just get new ones. And the springs that are on here, they don't get damaged when you just remove them by hand. So you can just put them back on, and then you're back to where you were before.